You know that moment when you're lying in bed, imagining your future self, the version of you who wakes up early, works out, builds a business, studies, creates, grows, and for a few seconds, it feels real. You want it, you see it, you believe it. But then the alarm rings the next morning, and suddenly, the same brain that dreamed of greatness last night can't even get out of bed. Why does this happen? Why can the same person feel deeply ambitious at 11 p.m. and completely unmotivated at 7 a.m.? This is the motivation gap, the space between wanting something and actually doing it. And it exists because desire and action come from two different brain systems. Today, we're going to break that down in a way that finally makes sense. When you want something, a better body, a better job, a better life, the part of your brain that lights up is the dopamine reward system. This system is incredible at one thing: anticipation. It gives you that spark of excitement when you imagine your future self. It's the same system that makes you feel motivated when you watch a productivity video, read a self-help quote, or plan out your goals in a brand new notebook. But here's the twist. Dopamine doesn't care about follow-through. It cares about the idea of progress, not the work of progress. The system responsible for actually doing things, starting tasks, staying focused, resisting distractions, is completely different. That's the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles planning, discipline, and execution. So wanting something and doing something aren't just different experiences. They're literally different neural circuits. Think about how different you feel at night versus in the morning. At night, you become the CEO version of yourself. You make plans, you set goals, you feel unstoppable, you're ready to change your life. But in the morning, you turn into the intern, the one who's confused, tired, overwhelmed, and wondering who signed them up for all this. At night, your dopamine system is in charge, imagining possibilities, dreaming big, creating excitement. But in the morning, your prefrontal cortex has to take over, and it's dealing with fatigue, stress, and the weight of reality. The CEO makes promises, the intern has to deliver, and the intern is not impressed. Here's something wild. Your brain gets more dopamine from thinking about doing something than from actually doing it. That's why planning feels good. Buying a new notebook feels good. Watching motivational videos feels good. Imagining your future self feels good. But starting the task? Not so much. Your brain is wired to love the anticipation of reward, not the effort required to get it. This is why you can want something deeply, genuinely, and still not take action. It's not laziness, it's biology. Now let's talk about overwhelm. Imagine you decide to get your life together. You make a huge list: wake up early, exercise, eat healthy, study, build a business, fix your sleep, read more, stop scrolling, be productive. It feels amazing to write it all down. But when you wake up the next day, your brain sees that list and goes, nope. Because the prefrontal cortex hates vague, massive, undefined goals. It needs clarity. It needs simplicity. It needs a starting point. When the task feels too big, your brain activates the same circuits it uses for threats. And instead of taking action, you freeze. This is why people say they're lazy when really they're overwhelmed. Let's walk through a real scenario. You want to get fit. You imagine yourself strong, confident, healthy. You watch videos, follow fitness influencers, buy new gym clothes. Your dopamine system is celebrating. It's already imagining the reward. But the next morning, when it's time to actually go to the gym, your prefrontal cortex steps in and says, okay, what exactly are we doing? What workout? How long? Where? Do we even know how to use the machines? What if people stare? What if we look stupid? Suddenly, the gym isn't a dream, it's a threat, and your brain chooses the safest option, avoidance. Not because you don't want it, but because the system responsible for action wasn't prepared. Here's the good news. The prefrontal cortex doesn't need motivation. It needs activation. Think of it like a car engine. It doesn't move until you turn the key, but once it's running, momentum takes over. This is why the hardest part of any task is the first 20 seconds. Once you start, your brain switches from anticipation mode to action mode. Writing the first sentence is harder than writing the next 10. Putting on your gym shoes is harder than the workout. Opening the textbook is harder than studying. Starting the project is harder than finishing it. Your brain isn't fighting the task, it's fighting the transition. There's a simple example that shows how powerful this is. A student wanted to study more but kept procrastinating, so he made one tiny rule. I only have to study for 20 seconds. He would sit down, open the book, and read for 20 seconds. That's it. But once he started, something interesting happened. He kept going. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes an hour. He didn't fix his motivation. He fixed his activation energy. And that's the real reason you don't follow through. You're not failing because you don't want it enough. You're not failing because you're lazy. You're not failing because you lack discipline. You're struggling because your brain is wired to love the idea of change more than the work of change. Once you understand that, everything becomes easier. Because now you're not fighting yourself. You're working with your biology. The motivation gap isn't a flaw. It's a feature of the human brain, a brain that evolved to conserve energy, avoid unnecessary effort, and chase rewards with the least resistance possible. But once you learn how to bridge the gap, once you learn how to activate the system responsible for action, your life changes. Not because you suddenly become more motivated, but because you finally understand how to start. And once you start, everything else becomes possible.